I've just moved all of my guitars from the UK across the world to Canada, and after 24 hours of pretty intense travel, loading them out of planes and cars and busy airports, they got here without a scratch. So here's everything that I did when traveling with my guitars and what I would definitely do differently next time. So the first thing I was worried about was whether I could actually get my guitars on a plane in the first place and how much it would cost. I flew with Air Canada, so the first thing that I checked was their prices and their baggage policies, including the size and weight limits for both carry-on and checked baggage. And that's the main thing that you want to consider, is whether you're taking your guitar as carry-on luggage, like on the plane with you, or if you're going to check it into the cargo hold. There's pros and cons for both, but keeping your guitar with you as carry-on luggage is generally the better option, because it's not going to be handled by other people or thrown around, which can damage it, and it's not going to get lost either. If you do plan on taking your guitar as carry-on, then it's a good idea to call the airline ahead of time and let them know, and also get to your gate early. Basically, make it as easy as possible for you and the staff, and it will go a lot more smoothly. You can also see if there's any options when it comes to priority boarding to get on the plane a bit quicker, so you can definitely find space for your guitar in the overhead bins. If you're in the US, then airlines actually do have to let on your musical instrument if you're taking it as carry-on, as long as there's room in the overhead bins. Now, if you want to be fully certain that your guitar is going to get on, then you can actually book a seat for it that's next to you. They sometimes come at a reduced rate, but it's still a pretty expensive option, and airlines don't actually have to let you book a seat for your instrument. If you are going to go down that route, I'd definitely call the airline before booking your ticket and just work out if that is an option. But sometimes it's just not possible to take your guitar as carry-on, and this time it wasn't an option for me. So the alternative is checking your guitar into the baggage hold, which is what I did this time, and it means that your guitar is going to need a lot more protection. And I'll show you what happens if you use the wrong case in a minute. You'll also want to protect it from getting lost, and you might want to think about insuring it against damage as well. Again, we'll look at that more in a minute. Now, there is a third option called gate checking, and this is what I would have done differently. Your guitar still goes into the luggage hold, but it's loaded in at the gate instead of way back at the beginning of the airport. So it means that it's handled way less, so it's less likely to take damage. And for smaller domestic flights as well, they usually return the guitar to you on the bridge side, so it doesn't go to the luggage carousel, which again means less handling and less likely to be damaged. But no matter what you do with your guitar, bashes and bumps are going to happen while you're traveling. It's just a given. So having a really good quality case is essential. For carry-on, most people go with a soft bag, and that's because they're a little bit easier to move around on a plane. They're a little bit smaller as well, so you can fit them more comfortably in the overhead bins. But if you are going for a soft case, don't use one of those thin dust cover style bags. You want a thick, well padded gig bag. For checked baggage, you absolutely need a quality, heavy duty hard case. Now, Gator actually gave me 2 cases to try out during my move. So I had this single hard case for my Strat and this double hard case for my 2 other guitars. And you can see they've protected my guitars from some quite nasty blows that would have probably damaged or broken my guitars otherwise. But as I said, my guitars arrived with me without a scratch. Now, interestingly, this case isn't a flight case, it's just a regular hard case, because there was a little bit of a mix-up while I was sorting everything out. And you can see that it's taken some quite nasty damage from probably a case or being thrown around when it's gone into the hold. So it's really important to use a proper heavy-duty flight case if you're packing your guitar into the baggage hold. Their flight cases also come with a TSA lock, which is really, really important because it lets the TSA agent open your case and inspect your guitar without breaking any locks or damaging your case. Now, having the right case is really important, but packing it properly is just as important. Open your case and check that there's no loose objects in there, like tuners or capos or straps, anything that can move around and ding your guitar in transit. Also, make sure that you don't have anything banned or suspicious packed in your luggage as well. Again, that's something that I would definitely do differently next time. So I was running quite low on baggage space, so I decided to stuff a couple of bits inside my double guitar case, including this guitar setup kit. And when the guitar was being checked by the TSA agents, they opened it, and probably the first thing that they saw was that. Now, if you don't know what that is, this can look pretty suspicious. Now, luckily for me, the TSA agent didn't really seem to mind this time once I explained what it was, but I can imagine that could have gone a lot worse if I'd have got a different agent. So maybe it's best to leave things like this at home. Next, make sure that your guitar fits comfortably into the case and doesn't have a lot of room to move or wobble around. If there is any movement, just pad that area out with either something soft like foam or just some old clothes or socks or something like that. You don't want to overstuff it either, just enough to pad it if it does move around. There's also a bit of a debate as to whether you should loosen your strings or put in a humidifier while you're flying. I didn't do any of that. I actually left my guitars in tune and I didn't put a humidifier in, and they were okay. I would say if you're flying more regularly though, and your guitar's gonna go through those big changes more often, it might be something that you wanna look into. I also tried putting fragile tape on my hard case as well, but as you can see, it still took that nasty blow, so next time I probably just wouldn't bother. Now, if you're worried about your guitar getting lost or damaged, there's a couple of things that you can do to help. The first is to put a physical tag on the outside of your case that has your name, your contact information, and if you're going to a hotel or playing at a venue, put the details on there as well. Basically anything to help you reconnect with your guitar if it goes missing. You also want to make sure to keep any tickets and receipts that you get when checking your baggage, because again, if it goes missing, those are essential for the airline finding your bag again. Another thing that you can do is to put an air tag or an equivalent in your bag as well. Again, making sure that it's not going to move around and scratch anything. I also really recommend snapping a couple of pictures of your guitar and making note of the serial number, because again, if your guitar does go missing, it's that information that's going to help you find it again. Everything that we've done so far should keep your guitar nice and safe, but if you're really worried about it getting damaged and the cost of repair or replacing your guitar, then you might want to look at insurance. Now, most travel insurance that I've seen actually classes instruments as high value items, and it caps the maximum payout that you can get from that. The one that I was looking at, which was Allianz, I believe, capped it at $500 US, which really isn't a lot when it comes to repairing significant damage or even replacing a guitar. So if you are worried about that, you might want to look at specialist instrument insurance or specialist high value item insurance. Again, reading through all the details to make sure that your guitar is going to be covered if something happens. One final tip, and something that I really wish that I'd done, is to actually print out the airline's baggage policy and what you're entitled to with your ticket. It might seem a little bit old school, but the airline staff actually did get it wrong about a bag that I was taking with me. And if I'd have just had that proof to hand, it would have made things a lot easier. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a rush, so I had to get it checked, and it had some fragile items in it which caused them to break. Luckily though, as I said, my guitars arrived in one piece. So let me know how your guitar travel goes. I really hope this video helped, and I'll see you in the next one.